Most people never expect anything to happen at 4 in the morning. That hour sits in a strange space between night and day. Too late to be awake, too early to be moving. It is the kind of silence that feels permanent, the kind where every sound matters, and that is exactly why what happened that night felt so wrong. I was awake, not fully, not completely alert, just sitting in my living room with a cup of coffee, trying to wake up slowly. The house was quiet, peacefully, kind of calm. You do not question. My dogs were lying near the front door, two German shepherds, disciplined, loyal, always aware of when they looked relaxed. They were never really off duty. The clock on the wall read 4 a.m. too early for anything normal, and that is when the first bang hit. The door load sudden, violent, not a knock, not someone asking politely. This was force. My dogs reacted instantly. Both of them jumped up, locked onto the door, their bodies stiff, focused. The kind of reaction that tells you something is wrong before your brain even catches up. I sat there for half a second, just listening, trying to understand what I just heard. Then it came again, another bang, harder. This time, the door frame shook slightly, and then a voice followed. Open this door right now, sharp, demanding, uninvited. That was the moment I knew this was not normal. I stood up slowly, not rushing, not panicking, but fully aware now. My dogs moved with me, step for step, positioning themselves between me and the door, protective, silent, ready. I moved closer, careful with every step. House still dark, except for a dim light from the kitchen, the kind of lighting that makes everything feel tense. Another hit on the door, open it, and I reached the door and looked through the glass, and there she was, standing on my porch, blonde hair slightly messy, wearing a bright pink dress, completely out of place for that hour and completely furious. Her face was tight, eyes wide, breathing heavy, like she had already decided how this was going to go. Open the door, she said it again, louder, this time like repeating it would make it happen. I did not unlock anything. I did not step back. I just stood there looking at her, trying to understand what she thought she was doing. What do you want? My voice was calm, controlled. She stepped closer to the glass. I have a master key. That sentence hung in the air, heavy on relay. Master key to my house? That is not how anything works, and deep down I think she knew that, but she said it anyway because she expected it to work. You need to leave. I said it clearly. You are trespassing. She shook her head. No, you do not understand. Her tone changed slightly, less shouting, more authority-like. She was trying a different approach. Can come in whenever I want. That is when she reached for the door and tried to push it, not gently, not testing. She actually tried to force it open, and that was the moment everything shifted, because my dogs stepped forward, not chaotic, not uncontrolled, but deliberate, focused, powerful. They did not bark immediately. They did not lunge. They just moved into position and stared, the kind of stare that does not need explanation. Her hand froze on the door, her body stiffened, and for the first time her expression changed. The confidence cracked just a little. Her eyes shifted from me to the dogs and back again. That is when she realized this was not going the way she expected. I did not say anything, right? Oh, I let the moment sit, because sometimes silence does more than words ever could. You need to levy. Repeated it slower, this time clearer, but she was not ready to give up, not yet. She pulled her hand back, straightened up, and tried to regain control. You cannot keep me out there. The voice had that edge again, that frustration, that entitlement, like being told no was something she was not used to. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice because I already knew how this would end. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and started dealing. That was the real turning point, because the moment she saw that, everything changed. Her posture shifted, her voice lost some of its sharpness. What are you doing, asked Evan, though she already knew. I did not answer. I just kept dialing, kept watching, kept letting the situation play out. My dogs stayed exactly where they were, still alert, unmoving, guarding the door, making sure she stayed exactly where she was. The call connected. I spoke calmly, gave the address, explained the situation. No emotion, just facts, and as I did that, I could see it happening, that slow realization on her face, the understanding that this was no longer in her control. She started talking again, to explain herself, trying to justify, but it did not matter, because now there were consequences. Minutes passed, but they felt longer, the kind of time that stretches when tension fills the air. She stayed on the porch, pacing slightly, talking under her breath, looking around like she was searching for a way out, but there was not one, not anymore. Then the lights appeared, red and blue, cutting through the darkness, reflecting off the windows. The police had arrived, and just like that, the situation shifted completely. If stepped out of their vehicles, calm, professional, focused, they approached slowly, taking in the scene. Chai turned toward them immediately, started talking fast, trying to get ahead of the situation, but it did not work, because the facts were simple. She was on my property at 4 a.m. trying to force her way inside, and there was no version of that made sense. The officers listened, then turned to May, opened the door slightly, just enough to speak. My dogs stayed right beside me, calm but present. I explained everything, simple, direct, no exaggeration, no emotion, just the truth. The officers nodded, then turned back to her, and that is when it finally hit her. Voice dropped, her posture changed, the confidence was gone completely. Step by step, she backed away from the door. No more shouting, no more demands, just quiet. They spoke to her, firm, direct, explaining exactly what she had done and what it meant. She tried to respond, but there was nothing left to say, because no it was real. Within minutes, they were escorting her away from the property, walking her back toward the street, the same place she had walked in from, so confident of certain now, completely different. I closed the door slowly, locked it, stood there for a moment just listening. The house was quiet again, the same silence as before, but now it felt different, heavier, real. My dogs finally relaxed, stepping back from the door, but not completely, still watching, still aware, because that is what they do. They protect without question, without hesitation. I walked back to the living room, down, picked up my coffee. It had gone cold, but that did not matter. I looked at the clock again, still early, still dark, but now everything had changed, because some people believe that can cross any line, break any boundary, and face no consequences. They think rules do not apply to them. They think control is something they can take, but sometimes they forget not everyone is unprotected, not every door opens, and not every situation goes their way. Night she learned that the hard way. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more stories like this.